my name is Joyce, and today I'm going to be talking about things that I didn't know about classical piano. I liked pop music when I was younger, so I kind of learned for a while from not a really great teacher, but kind of an okay teacher. I think when I was 15 or 16, I had to think about what I was going to do after high school. My mum suggested that I do classical piano at the university. At that point, I hadn't really done any classical music ever. I knew I had to get a better teacher because my teacher didn't really teach classical piano. I was really lucky to find a really good concert pianist. Pretty much just taught me a decade's worth of stuff in about a year or two, because by then I was 16 and I was going to be graduating when I was 17, and I needed to audition to get into uni, to get into the classical piano major. You really need to start young, or start younger at least. From when you're really young, you should be already taking lessons with a good teacher who should be, guiding you through competitions and performances and stuff, so that by the time you're, 16 or 17, then you've already had like a lot of competitions under your belt. So literally, when I auditioned for the university, they asked for a list of your repertoire. And my list consisted of the 3 pieces that I performed in the audition room, like right then. So that was all of my history. That was the only thing, in classical music that I'd ever done. So yeah, and a lot of other people had like lists and lists of music that they'd been working on since they were 5. Dream of becoming a concert pianist. It's really a low percentage of people who can do that for a living. Even if you're like a concert pianist traveling around performing, you still have to teach on the side just to pay the bills and make an income, which is fine for me because I really love teaching. Your school academic grades don't really matter. To get into these schools, you go by audition. So mainly the audition matters the most. That's why some kids who are younger, who haven't graduated high school, can still get in, just because maybe the audition was fantastic. In my year, all the other girl pianists did conjoints, I think. So yeah, it provides like another opportunity or another option for you, I guess, if you decide not to choose music as your only route. There aren't a lot of classes for piano performance, so where does that time go to? If you're doing a conjoint, you can put it to the classes on your other side. For me, I just had to work a lot. Felt like it'd be a waste of time otherwise. And there are hidden hours, I guess, like the practicing hours. Keep that in mind, that there is a lot of practicing. I think the busiest time for me was when I decided to do 2 jobs. I was out like every night teaching, and all my days off were at the fashion boutique. And then I had to find time to practice and go to class as well. There is this kind of culture, like classical culture, which you kind of have to understand through going to concerts or listening to a lot of classical music. Because I came from a pop music background, I could not understand classical music or its language at all. Like, if I listened to a piece of classical music, I kind of thought it sounded like trash, just because I hadn't grown up with that kind of culture. I literally couldn't even tell the difference between Mozart and Rachmaninoff. You really have to get into that kind of culture to understand it. I know a lot of the time when you're like really young, your parents will want to save money and just find the cheapest teacher. Having a good teacher is really important. I didn't really get all the basics, or you carry on these bad habits until you're an adult, and then by then it's really hard to change. Piano and other instruments, they're all kind of really heavily discipline-led subjects, so to really be willing to practice every single day for a number of hours. I used to have a class called Musician's Health, and I used to think, like, how can you get injured, playing an instrument, especially piano? Like, nothing can happen. And then I ended up getting a cyst in my middle finger, and I had to stop piano for a few weeks. And then just recently, I had to pull out of a competition because I ended up spraining my hand. If you know that you've got a small hand and it's not comfortable for you to play something, you have to speak up and just let your teacher know. Sometimes you don't know until you do it and you get injured. I hope this kind of helps someone who also didn't come from a classical culture or like a classical background. You can follow my Instagram. It's at Joyce Personal. Bye.